Early this month, the governor of an autonomous region of Moldova, known for its pro-Russian and separatist leanings, was arrested and sentenced to 7 years in prison for channeling Russian funds to support a pro-Kremlin party. This dramatic arrest marks the latest move to curb Russian influence, particularly in the separatist regions of Gaguzia and Transnistria, the latter a self-proclaimed independent state. The crackdown comes as Moldova prepares for crucial parliamentary elections in September, which will determine whether the country continues its EU integration. So in this video, we're going to have a look at why tensions between the central government in Chisinau and the separatist regions has been escalating in recent months, and what this might mean for Moldova's future. Dive deeper into politics with our magazine Too Long. Yep, we make a real physical magazine. In the latest issue, we discuss if Europe can really defend itself, why people like Putin get away with it, and whether we're observing the end of the American order. Find out more by clicking the link in the description. Let's start with some context. Since gaining independence from the Soviet Union in 1991, Moldova has had several left-wing successors to the banned Soviet-era Communist Party. The Party of Communists soon became the most dominant political force in the country, and in 2001 became the first and only communist party in the former USSR to win an outright majority in a democratic election. While it was widely perceived as an ideological successor to the Soviet-era Communist Party, the party was far from revolutionary left. Its social policies were largely conservative, and had a pragmatic foreign policy of balancing between the West and Moscow. For older Moldovans, the Communist Party rested more on Soviet-era familiarity and stability rather than ideology, and the party capitalized on this sentiment to win election after election. However, following April 2009's Twitter revolution, when disputed election results sparked protests organized on Twitter, the Communist Party began losing legitimacy, while support for pro-European parties gradually began to increase. By 2014, support for the Communist Party had collapsed, as disillusioned voters shifted to a more pro-Russian alternative, the Party of Socialists, which won the 2014 elections with around 20% of the vote, promising to block NATO integration, annul Moldova's trade agreement with the EU, and instead join the post-Soviet Eurasian Economic Union. Support for the Socialist Party had always been strongest in 3 regions: Transnistria, Gaguzia, and the north of the country. Transnistria is a self-declared breakaway state of nearly 500,000 people, most of whom are Russian-speaking, with many holding Russian citizenship. In 1992, it fought a brief war against Chisinau, which ended without a formal peace agreement, leaving the region in a frozen conflict. Since then, Transnistria has functioned as a de facto state, sustained largely by crucial Russian support. Moscow maintains troops, subsidizes pensions, and supplies cheap, nearly free gas. In a sign of the strength of the pro-Russian sentiment, at the 2006 Transnistrian independence referendum, 98.1% of voters approved of independence and a potential integration into Russia, while only 3.4% favored reunification with Moldova. Similarly, Gaguzia, a Turkic Russian-speaking autonomous region in southern Moldova, has experienced a rise in pro-Russian sentiment in recent years. Feeling culturally distinct and often sidelined by Chisinau, the Gagauz have grown skeptical of both the central Moldovan government and Western integration. Russia has reinforced this divide, having positioned itself as Gagauzia's protector. This was glaringly evident in a 2014 referendum. Nearly all voters opposed EU integration, overwhelmingly backing joining Russia's customs union, and even supported the idea of declaring independence if Moldova ever united with Romania. So it's no surprise that pro-Russian parties find strong support here too. Finally, northern Moldova is home to many Russian speakers, who retain strong historical, cultural, and economic connections to Russia, and like Transnistria and Gaguzia, voters here tend to support the Socialists, drawn to promises of closer ties with Moscow. Anyway, going back to the 2014 Moldova elections, despite the Socialist victory, 2 centre-right pro-EU parties formed a minority government, which became plagued with infighting, corruption scandals, and opportunism. Voter disillusionment with the established parties led to the emergence of new political players, including Maia Sandu, who founded the pro-European, reformist, and anti-corruption PAS party. as well as Ilan Shor, a fugitive oligarch and key figure in the 2014 Moldovan bank fraud scandal, who led and created the pro-Russian populist Shor party. By 2021, PAS had surged to overwhelming support, capturing 52.8% of the parliamentary vote and forming a majority government with Maia Sandu elected president. The Socialists and Communists, running together as an electoral bloc, came in second, winning roughly half as many seats to form the opposition, while Shor's party placed third. Less than a year later, in February 2022, Russia invaded neighbouring Ukraine, which accelerated Moldova's pivot westward. Sandu declared Russia as the single biggest threat to Moldova's sovereignty, and in June 2022, Moldova was granted EU candidate status alongside Ukraine. Following Europe's lead, Chisinau moved to phase out Russian gas, which until then had accounted for most of the country's energy supply, and adopted a firmer stance towards Transnistria and Gaguzia to try and contain pro-Russian influence. This unsurprisingly drew strong criticism from Moscow. In November 2023, the Russian foreign minister warned that Moldova could become the next Ukraine, insisting that Russia would not allow Transnistrian citizens to become victims of another Western adventure. Moldova's westward shift hasn't gone down well with its pro-Russian separatist regions either. Since January 2024, Transnistrian businesses have been forced to pay duties to Chisinau to comply with EU trade rules. Residents protested in response, fearing higher prices, and the region's Congress met for the first time since the 2006 independence referendum to request Russian support against what they were calling increasing pressure from Moldova, marking a serious deterioration in relations. Tensions worsened again after Russia's transit agreement with Ukraine expired, which stopped Russian gas deliveries to Moldova, plunging Transnistria into an energy and economic crisis. By late 2025, Transnistria is expected to face a 12% GDP drop, a 30% slump in industrial output, a 20% fall in foreign trade, and inflation could reach 16%, hitting residents hard. To plug Transnistria's deepening budget gap, authorities are reportedly looking at a $122 million loan. In Gaguzia, Sandu has taken a harder line, looking to ban pro-Russian lawmakers and parties. She also refused to recognize the elected governor Efenia Guto in 2023, citing her ties to the Shor party that year had been declared unconstitutional for corruption and vote buying. Guto had been expected to front a new pro-Russian electoral bloc, but this month was sentenced to 7 years in prison for financing Shor's party with Russian money. The Kremlin denounced her arrest, while Shor tried to encourage unrest by offering to pay Moldovan citizens up to $3,000 a month to protest against the government. In the meantime, Sandu's government has also had to deal with Russian cyber attacks and disinformation campaigns, which will likely increase in the coming weeks as the country prepares for its next elections at the end of September. Many fear that a new pro-Russian government could jeopardize Moldova's security and sovereignty. In June, the Moldovan Prime Minister warned that a pro-Kremlin government could pave the way for an additional 10,000 Russian troops stationed in Transnistria, while for now NATO has stressed that there's no evidence of an imminent military escalation. The EU has also recently imposed sanctions on those accused of undermining Moldova's sovereignty, and Sandu is currently leading in the polls. Whether this will be enough to prevent the return of a pro-Kremlin government remains to be seen. It's safe to say that if you're interested in topics such as these, then you're also really passionate about challenging yourself through online learning. While we're here to help you with that, our sponsor this week, Brilliant, are experts at pushing your learning to the next level. That's because Brilliant is an incredibly thorough learning platform, designed to be uniquely effective in how you build skills every day. Their vast library of topics, from science to AI, all feature a perfect mix of engaging problems, competitive features, and daily encouragement that keeps you motivated and on track. And Brilliant helps you to build your critical thinking skills through problem solving, not just memorizing. So while you're building real knowledge on specific topics, you're also becoming a better thinker. For example, if you're looking to build your mathematical intuition, Brilliant is the best place to go. Their newly updated maths course focuses on the most useful, applicable maths concepts, so you never feel like you're wasting your time. You'll start at the perfect level and work your way up through interactive challenges that bring abstract concepts to life. Whether at home or on the go, you can level up your math skills wherever you are. To start your learning journey and try Brilliant for free, visit brilliant.org/TLDR, scan the QR code on screen, or click the link in the description. By doing so, you'll get 20% off an annual premium subscription, and they'll know that you came from us, which really helps us out.